We are living in an age of information. Whatever we want to know is at our fingertips now. We don't need to go anywhere to gain knowledge. Technology gives us an easy access to all the information we need. But if we go back in history and try to ponder over how human civilizations have evolved through the ages, we would find that throughout the entire human history, human beings were always trying to take from each other by force. And for that, there were wars, invades, murders, trying to prove superiority over each other, etc. etc. On the other side of reality, there were so many great people doing their great work and making a difference in the world. Their way to look at the nature of reality was unique, and they believed in a superior power or intelligence that governed the outcome of our efforts. And they found that this intelligence responds to our thoughts and feelings working together for a definite purpose. They got connected with this intelligence, built their personal relationship with it, and manifested beautiful experiences in their life. At that time, there were people who lived in fear. There were people who lived in oppression. There were people who lived in anger and resentment. But the people who found their connection with this field of intelligence were the people who lived in freedom and peace. As time moves along, somewhere along the way, we finally get to accept the fact that we are not here to rule each other. Rather, we are here to live together in harmony, and an age of new thinking begins. New ideas begin to come out of many minds working as one, and then things started to speed up because we were working in cooperation rather than oppression, and everyone was participating on their own free will. And then industries, technology, computers, landing on the moon, exploring the universe, and everything we have nowadays was manifested. Everything that led us to this age of information came to us through the teachings of those brave souls who choose to search for the greater meaning and purpose of life. In the pre-modern world, the population of the planet used to live in different parts of it, mostly disconnected and unknown to each other. The people of a particular place used to have the values and beliefs that were originally their own, and it was part of their culture. Most of those people used to have almost the same belief systems in that particular area. Meanwhile, on the other parts of the planet, there were other people who were living with entirely different values and beliefs, unaware of the other culture. In this manner, there were a large number of belief systems on the planet, and they were rarely influenced by each other. When the modern age dawned, what it did is that it removed the barrier of separation and forced all the belief systems that have developed through the ages to found a common ground in order to coexist. In fact, we are not bound to accept any belief system anymore that we don't like. We became free to choose our own destination and definition of our life. Now, it doesn't matter what the belief systems, paradigms, places, races, time, or circumstances were. The people can always be divided into three basic types. The first types of people were the people who let their outer world or their environment control them, decide who they are, and what the possibilities of their lives are. They lived their whole life with a victim consciousness and never truly believed that they have any power over their circumstances. The environment was controlling their thoughts, feelings, and actions, and their inner self-image as well. The second types of people were the people who had an understanding that they have dominion over their environment. But when it came to doing something greater than their environment, they could not do it because of the fear and doubts they carried in their hearts. They were concerned about what other people would think of them. They were always in conflict with themselves. They wanted one thing, but they were busy worrying about other things. The third types of people were the people who had found the purpose of their life. They understood the true nature of reality. They understood that there is a power that is the essence of their life. They understood that the power they have can be used and benefited from only when they have a loving and trusting relationship with this intelligent power. They connected themselves with this intelligence, built their faith based on the understanding of the laws, lived a magnificent life, and inspired millions to do the same. Now, if we look in our present world, we will find that the people around the world are still living under one of these three categories. The people who live under the first category are huge in numbers. The people who live under the second category are lesser in number than the first. And the people who lived under the third category are the smallest in numbers. The best thing of this time is that people are waking up to realize that they are not the victims. Rather, they are the creator of the experiences they are going to have in their life. And when somebody realizes that, then they don't let their environment to control their thoughts, feelings, and the experiences they are going to have. Instead, they create their own environment and the experiences they truly desire to have. And that's called living in the freedom. So, if we all are part of the same thing, the same intelligence is present for everyone, and everyone has been given the same power and mental tools, then what separates those three types of people from each other? Let's dig a little deeper into it. The first thing you need to understand is the concept of the self. The self or the self-image is a set of beliefs that everybody has of themselves in their subconscious mind. It's our own conception about the sort of person I am. The self-image is the factor that controls our thinking, feelings, and behaviors. It is the root of every experience that we had in our past and every experience that we are going to have in our future. It controls the result of every area of our life. It controls our income, our relationships, our happiness, other people's attitude towards us, our use of our time, etc., etc. The good news is that our self-image can be improved anytime. But in order to improve the self-image, we need to understand how it was built in the first place. I'm gonna use an analogy here that we can all relate to. So think of the child described here as yourself and then go back in your mind to find out how it happened for you. When a child is born, he is born in his pure nature. He has no concept of the self in his mind. He has no concept of I am. And he is just a pure life form known as human being. When this child starts growing up, he has no programs in his mind. His conscious faculties are not developed yet. He has no concept of right or wrong. In the first few years of his life, his subconscious mind is wide open, and it starts downloading the programs that his physical senses are exposed to. For example, the language that his family speaks would start to get downloaded, and when he would reach the age when he can speak, he would start speaking the same language. The food that people around him like, he would start liking the same food, etc., etc. In the same manner, his subconscious mind would download all the necessary programs that he needs to survive in his environment and to cooperate with his environment, and it would become his first self-image. When he would be a few years old, he would go to school to learn new information, which would help him to evolve his mind. Now, in school, many factors would affect his self-image, like his exam reports, his performance in sports, others' behaviors towards him, etc. All these factors would add more information and beliefs in his mind about him and what he is capable of, and this would be his improved self image. When he would go to college, his body and brain would be in a process of constant change, and this new environment would start to influence his self image. He would learn the skills he wanted to learn, he would learn many other things as well, and his body would attain its full strength. When he would come out of the college, the self image would be improved again, and it would take the form of the self image I call the original self image. With this original self image, skills, and the knowledge he gathered throughout his journey, he would provide the service to the world he is a part of, and the quality of his service would determine his standards of living. Always remember this: it doesn't matter where you are or what you do, you cannot outperform your self image. The quality of the service you provide is always bound to your self image. Now, just like everyone has a unique face, everyone also has a unique self image, slightly different from each other. This uniqueness is because of the fact that the receivers in our brain and body through which we receive the information from the quantum field and interact with it is universal in nature, but unique and personal for every person. It means no two people are receiving the exact same information from the field, but we all are receiving the information. Everyone processes the information they receive from the field in different ways, because everyone thinks and feels different from each other. The way you think and feel creates your state of being, that is self-image, and your state of being determines the reality you are going to experience. The self-image is the part of us that is sending signals back to the quantum field, and the signals we send back in the field is what we are going to receive back in our life. Now, just like in a rainbow, we see many colors that are not really separate from one another, but we can divide them into certain categories of colors. The self-image can also be divided into three basic categories of the self. The majority of people comes under this category. It has various types of people with various types of self-images. From a person who believes that everything that is wrong with his life is somebody else's fault, to the person who believes that to change something in his life, he has to change something outside of him. Everyone else who comes between these two extremes falls under this category. This category of people always live their lives in stress. They are tired most of the time. They spend their day running after something that doesn't make them happy. They do the work they don't enjoy. They live life like it's a punishment and they have to compete with each other to survive. They are sad, angry, and bitter most of the time. They also have desires for better things, but they don't believe they have the ability to transform their lives into a better one. The worst part of this category is that they don't have any idea about the true nature of reality, and they don't even have any awareness of their own true nature either. Their environment becomes their master, and they become slaves of their environment. This is the category where the majority of the rest of the people lives and experience their life. In this category, various types of people lives with various types of self-image. From a person who believes that he has the ability to change his life, but he is afraid of failure and thinks about all the things that could go wrong if he takes a chance, to the person who knows that he has to change his habits and he thinks that he should not be doing what he is doing with his time, but he does it anyway. Everyone that comes under these two extremes falls under this category. These are the people who wants to improve their lives. They think about it but don't do much about it. They get the results they least like. Whatever they experience in their lives, they always feel empty and incomplete inside. They don't enjoy their time because most of the time they are fighting with themselves in their mind. This is the category where people are struggling. Everyone went through this phase who have experienced the transformation of their self. The most important thing to remember for the people of this category is that it's not what you experience through this time that matters. It's how you carry yourself through those experiences. Most people of this category quit or fail because they don't really feel that they are going to experience what they truly desire. They can think about it, they can imagine it, but when it comes to doing it, they can't really do it. They try it for some times, and when they don't see the results they wanted, they quit and try a different idea. And then repeat the same process over and over again with many ideas. And when it doesn't work for a long time, they blame destiny or something and say life sucks anyway. This is the category where minority of people live their lives. But if we dive deep into the true essence of our being, this is the state of being we were created to live in. This is the highest state of human consciousness. But sadly, very few people ever reach this state, even in this modern age of information. Everyone who has decided to involve himself into a lifetime commitment of self-improvement and taking actions every day falls under this category. These are the people who know that their environment has no power over their life and their experiences until they give it that power. They have made a secret oath to themselves that they are never going to let anything outside of themselves control how they think and feel. These are the people who are never stressed. They never get depressed. They are never angry. They are always happy and spread happiness wherever they go. They live a life with love, care, compassion, and they bring beauty in everything they do. They are the ones who are truly alive. In order to understand how you can improve your self-image, imagine that there is an amazing car. It has everything in it that modern technology has to offer. It has all the programs in it in order to make the drive comfortable. As long as it is standing there, it cannot use any of its power until a driver gets in and starts the process. Once it is started, then you may put it on cruise control, but you have to initiate it. Now you get in, start it, and comes on the road. What would happen if there is a truck in front of you and you don't use the brakes? Or if there is a wall right ahead of you and you just sit there and didn't use the steering or brakes? There would be a crash for sure. The car offers all the ways and means to enjoy the ride, but how you, as the driver, use it decides what the ride is going to be like. Now, if we compare our whole being as the car and the driver, then we would find that our body is like the car, and the subconscious mind is like the engine of the car, and our conscious mind is like the driver of the car. Just like the car and its engine, our body and the subconscious mind offers all the love, care, happiness, abundance, health, and a sense of completion that we all want. But how we, as consciousness, use our conscious mind to command the body and the subconscious mind determines the experiences we are going to have. Most of us are like an untrained driver who is sitting on the driver's seat without having enough understanding and practice of how this car, mind and body, works. So we try to do what others are doing, hoping that they might know, and it doesn't really work. The only way to drive the car and use all of its comfort is to learn and practice how to drive it. Now, when you learn to drive a car, it doesn't happen in one go. You have to do it over and over again. You have to keep practicing every day for a certain period of time until driving becomes a part of you. Then you can drive it in any way you want, and you would be able to enjoy everything that car has to offer. When you started learning how to drive, you were practicing every move you have to make when you are going to drive, because you knew that you are going to drive the car one day. When you get emotionally involved with the idea of driving, you started practicing it, and in the beginning you made many mistakes, but you learned from them and keep practicing. When you were doing that, you were installing a program in your subconscious mind, and it was training your body to behave according to this program whenever you get into the driver's seat. Now you don't have to think about it anymore. You just have to sit on the driver's seat, and the subconscious mind and the body would drive the car for you, while you can be busy thinking about something else or lost in the lyrics of your favorite song. The same principle apply to everything you are going to do in your life. The mind and the body would work in the same way for anything you would do. But the body would only be involved in it according to the nature of the emotions you have for the things you are doing or wants to do. Now the most important part to understand is that the subconscious mind has all the powers, but it cannot differentiate between an event that is taking place in the physical world and an event that we are creating in our mind by thoughts alone. To the subconscious mind, both events are as real. So, when you imagine yourself doing something in your mind and you are emotionally involved in doing it, the subconscious mind would take it as you are actually doing it, and it will prepare the body to do it for you in future, just like driving the car. If you imagine yourself living the life you truly desire and make a commitment that you are going to do it every day, and start feeling the emotion of what it would feel like when you will be living that life, the subconscious mind would take it as you are having this experience, and it would start preparing your body for that emotion and experience. And when you would do it over and over again, you would start thinking different, you would start feeling different, and you would start acting in new ways. This new thinking, feeling, and behaviors will start changing your self-image, and the experience you are having in your mind would be drawn towards you, and you would be drawn towards that experience. And then it's just a matter of time before what you want becomes yours. This new self-image and the experience that you are having in your mind would be the signal you would be sending in the quantum field. And that's what the field is going to send back to you in your life in the form of experience. If you like the information that I shared with you through this video, then like this video and subscribe this channel and share this video. Thank you very much.